think it was Wine to Collect. And a friend of mine was the producer on it, and she would produce it, and they would shoot like maybe 5 commercials in you know, whatever his time was, shoot like 5 commercials over 5 days in New York. And I got a call to work on it, and they were producing out of Big Dog's office, which was Hype Williams' office. And so at the time, he was like, this was 97, 96, 97, so he was it. You know, it was like over. So I just remember being in the office, and he was walking around, and it's like he had a little editing space, and some of the props were still up. Like I think the props from the Old Dirty Bastard video. What's the one? Brooklyn Zoo. Not Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah, Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah. We're still like in the room. It was a dope scene. And so that was during the week, and then they asked anybody if they wanted to work on a video over the weekend and to sign up. And they're like, I don't know if you're gonna be picked, but we're picking some PAs. So I just put my name on and started working, and then we connected. And from there, it was just, I started to work on all his jobs. It became like a second AD for him, and then a first AD. Traveled with him, drove, you know, it was like, you know, and at the same time was like soaking up the game. But it was interesting because I was moving so far away from what I wanted to be doing, was directing, right? So then Big Dog sort of expanded, and other directors were on. And then this kid from Toronto came down, and he just like showed up one day and was like doing all the artwork and sketches and storyboards, and he just wouldn't talk to anybody. So he would just sit in the corner, do his thing, not speak to nobody but Hype and maybe one other person. Then, you know, we were in the office like, yo, who is this? Who is this kid? He's been in our territory, and then and that was Lil X. And so he was young, he was not a lot younger than me, but he was younger than me. I think he was still might have been a teenager or just 20. And he would leave and come back with all these music videos that he had shot in Toronto. And they were like amazing. And we didn't know that in Toronto, you wrote the government, and they would give you the money to shoot. So we didn't know that. We go to Toronto. Right. We trying to like, so it would be a bunch of us. A bunch of us were PAs trying to shoot videos on the side. So we thinking, okay, whatever film, and this was on, mind you, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. This was all on film. So this was not like digital world. This is all on film. So whatever film wasn't being used on a Hype video, we would try to keep those short, we called them short ends, and you'd repackage them, and we'd take them, and we would take those to go and shoot whatever we wanted. And his stuff was so great. We were like, yo, how's he? And then he said the secret was the Canadian government paid for the music video. So it was dope. But regardless, I mean, people paid, and it still wasn't as dope. He was just incredible. So at that point, I was ADing as assistant director. So I was assistant directing Hype. A few other directors, Dave Myers, like anybody that kind of came to New York, I was like the guy, Paul Hunter. And X started to take off on his own and was trying to create his own brand and his own thing outside of Hype. And then at that point, we all went to Trinidad to do Big Pimpin', the Big Pimpin' video. And hold on. Yo, this shit we just said? Yeah, we went, that was like the, you know, I always say we need to do like a documentary about that whole video. But we went, and it was at that point that I had expressed interest in, like, I really want to direct. I didn't want to like do this anymore. You don't want to be the worker necessarily. Yeah, no, not really. And so I had to make a choice, and it's a funny little story. We're in Miami because we shot in Trinidad, and in Miami because Pimp C couldn't leave this country. Yeah. So we're setting up a shot. Jay was there, Hype was there, and then out of nowhere, she was there. Yup. Out of nowhere, Hype's like, yeah. So how long are you gonna do this? And I'm thinking he's like, how long is the shot gonna take before it's ready? And he was like, no, like how long are you gonna do this? Like I know you want to direct, and I'm like, yeah. He said, well, you gotta go and do it. You know, you gotta stop working for me. I said, like, so would you firing me?
Right.
Like, and Jay-Z standing right there. So they all looking at me, and it's just like, and they like the whole, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to do it. He said, no, you got to make a decision to do it, you know? And then, so it's interesting because it was like put on the spot. And I never worked for Hype after that day. I just sort of focused all my attention on shooting my first music video. And it was Wild Out 2K with Channel Live, which was a group. I was an MC as well, and that was a group that I used to rap with, was Channel Live. They were signed to Flavor Unit, which was that. Yeah, Spark Madison, Hakeem Green, and Tuffy, yeah. So that's how that's the short version.
Short version.
Yeah, that's the short version.
That's a good version though.
Short version, yeah.
So the craziness is, you know, content in general has come so far from, you know, back when we kind of first started, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got. Yeah. Back then it was just basically music videos, and I don't think anybody really knew what content specifically was. When you started shooting these videos, what was your main intention? Like, what did you really want to get across to the people watching?
Well, I think everybody's approach was different. Because I was so close to guys that were like were doing it and doing it on a big level. There was inspiration, but I also had to make sure that I separated myself from whatever they were doing, and I created my own look. And that kind of comes with just your own sense of your own taste of what you like. Or I don't like the camera looking this, I want to move it this way, or, you know, those things you create that the more you do it. And so I always felt like I never wanted to have too many special effects in a music video. I never wanted to overwhelm the viewer with hi, here's the camera, here's the director, this is it. I've always wanted to do visuals that serviced the artist, right? Okay. And I always put myself in the room mentally in the studio when the record is being made, and I said to myself, okay, like, what does this song look like? Right? Yeah. And that's how I always approached it. Yeah. Like, what does this song look like? And creating the concept from there. Also, collaborating with artists. I mean, that was always a big thing for me, because imagine an artist hears the beat, or, you know, whether they had the rhyme first and went to the producer, or the producer did the beat and they walked in and I love that and they wrote it. They don't know right away it's going to be a single or a hit, but they're always, at that time, everybody was talking about, man, you know, the video for this would be great. That was just kind of like the conversation. So I wanted to be that extra piece, that other part of the record, and bring that visual to life. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, I don't want you to brag about it, but give them a little rundown of some of the actual music videos you've done.
Oh man,
brag,
man.
It's not bragging, it's facts.
Let me see. Well, I did the Channel Live video first, and I did a video for this French artist named Kamel from this group called Alliance Ethnique. They were really big in France at the time in the 90s, early 2000s. And then Nas called me to do Uchiwali. So that was like the first thing that jumped off. And I knew Nas forever because of being with Hype, and also, And so he's like, you know, I want to get this Bravehearts thing really going, and this is the first Braveheart record, and, you know, I want you to do the thing. Now, mind you, we had just come from the year before we were in Trinidad at Big Pimpin', so everybody was trying, every artist was trying to get that version. Yeah, they're trying to get that version of it.
See, it's the same videos. They do it in music and they do it in video.
Yeah, that time we were trying to get that version of it. So yeah, Nas was a big collaborator with me in the beginning. LL, Diddy, of course, Nelly. I think I had the biggest video I've ever done, or maybe not say that, the biggest video that's ever been viewed was the Nelly and Kelly Dilemma video. And that has like 1 billion something views as of last year. Me and Nelly talked about that. It was a big deal for us. What else? Man, it's a lot. 50 Cent. A bunch. I did just a little bit with 50 Cent. Like, it's weird because almost all the videos, not all of them, but a lot of them I did with 50, we did out the country, like in France and Mexico and stuff like that. And then, I mean, you know, it's interesting because my first videos I directed was in 2000. This is 2023, you know, and it's like still being able to do it.
Yeah.
But it's ebbs and flows, right? Because new cats come in and new artists come in, they look for different things. You know, you got to look at your own work and go, damn, what could I be doing different to update my stuff? It's the same as with a music artist or producer or MC or whatever. And you go through that time where you're hot, and then somebody else comes in, they get hot, and then you got to figure out a way, and then you connect yourself to an artist that brings you back. So I went through that period a little bit. I took time off. I did a movie, Next Day Air, and then came back to the game.
Took a little time off.
I did Next Day Air. Just like, we ain't all watched that movie.
Also, Keisha Cole was a big collaborator with me too. I've done like 15 videos with her. She was one artist that, like, I would hear the song, like just the melody of it, and it was always a story behind every record. Any record you ever hear from Keisha, there's a real story behind it. So we would sit, and I'd go in the studio. We sit. I'm listening to the music, and then we talking about it, and then that's how it would happen.
Right.
So did Next Day Air, and then the music industry sort of changed at that point. The digital media started to come in around 2009, and people weren't sure what was going to happen, if it was still going to be film or switch to digital. A lot of people like myself were like diehard film people because that's the world we came from, and the DPs, and then the younger cats.
It's like being a DJ carrying crates, right?
Yeah,
you gotta go over to the digital side of things.
So that was like a tricky time. Also, you had new directors coming in. You had new voices. And so trying to find that artist that sort of you connected with that just helped and re-spark and take you off. And then me and Nicki Minaj collaborated. And then she wound up being, I think, I have more videos with her than anybody else.
Wow.
Yeah, I have, no, let me not say that. I've done more videos for her than anybody, if that makes sense.
Right, so features and other
stuff. With her, yeah. And so 2000, the first time I shot her was with Keisha, first time I shot her was with Gucci Mane and Usher in a video, and she was there, but she wasn't on it or whatever. Right. She was there, and she was signed to Gucci at the time.
Right.
Spotlight was the name of the video. And then she was like, when I get on, I want you to do the video. All the artists say that. When I get on, you're like, all right, cool. And then,
all of a sudden,
you see a video and you're like, well, I didn't do it. Like,
what happened?
What happened? And like with her, she blew up so fast.
Yeah.
She blew up so fast that the next time I saw her was it was Keisha and Nicki. I Ain't Through was the name of the song. And she was like, Nicki, and it was like, I need to see the shot. It was a whole different person.
Yeah.
And so she was like, all right, we're going to work together. I'll do something with you. And then 2 years later, we did Bees in the Trap was the first one that we sort of did together. And then we just went on and on and just like, boom, kept going and going and going and going. The other person who's been a constant collaborator with me is Busta Rhymes. And I've known Busta since Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See. Of course, those days I was there, and we've been collaborating ever since. From the first video I did for him was Touch It. Touch It video, and then we just went on. So
we want you to stop.
Yeah.
Yo, I'll be honest, yo. We understand you're humble. We understand, but what you had to go through to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
And the records you're talking about that you do that we all love.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that. We want you to tell us that. Like that.
Tell you what.
I watched that video. Every Busta Rhymes video, I know them verbatim from the beginning to the end.
Yep.
So for you to say that.
Busta's tough though, because it's like, Busta and Missy, the two of them is tough, and I give it up to Dave Myers too, because he was able to take, the template that Hype set for Busta and Missy.
With wide lenses and all that kind of
all
stuff.
that, the colors, the visual scope of what he set for those particular two artists. You had to be able to What up, man? You had to be able to match that, and then Dave Myers came along with Missy, and he like took that, and they collaborated and just exploded, especially with the dancing part of it, and all that stuff. So you know, when you find that artist that will just trust you, for whatever, and you can just do what you want to do, it's like it's a big deal.
It's crazy because, you know, we spoke to Buddha and Grands earlier, and my cuz, you know, Steel Sessions, them as well, and the going conversation is about, you know, showing up, being there, being consistent, you know what I'm saying, being somebody who builds a relationship with somebody and wants to, it's like he said something about being, you know, when you find your barber, right, like you stay with your barber for years because that's your guy, you don't want to try anything new. So it seems like in the visual space at the time that, you know, working with different people, sticking with the right people, the quality, the brand of that person, make sure they have, like Missy has a brand of her videos, Busta had a brand, Nicki has a brand. How do you create that visually when you first start with the artist and start to go through that process with them? Is there a conversation? Are you bringing them ideas? Like, how does that really work?
Well, I always think, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, the best outcome has always been when I've been able to actually have time with the artist way before we shoot the video.
Right.
And like you get like example is Robin Thicke, Lost Without You, right? So that song, I'd heard the song and I was like, man, this song is amazing. And so we spoke about it, and it was such a far departure from what I had been doing, like hardcore hip hop and stuff like that.
I know, some pop shit.
Yeah, and it was like he had an idea, and I was just like, nah, let's do this. I said, this song is so beautiful and simple and intimate.
Right.
Like, let's make the video that. And then we were searching for the lead for the video, and we had all these submissions. And while we were talking, I found out he was married to Paula Patton. So I go, wait a minute, this is the actress from, I said, this is the actress from the Denzel movie and all that stuff. And I'm like, he said, yeah, I wrote the song about her. I'm like, hold on, dude, come on. This is who the person should be. And I'm like, nobody that we are going to hire is going to be able to bring across what it is we're trying to do. And I get with a little bit of reluctancy, and then I got on the phone with the two of them, and we worked it out. And to me, that's one video I always love how it came out, just because I know that video is a very real depiction of their relationship. He was on the road a lot of times. He wished he was there. They had broken up, I think, at some point in time, and gotten back together. So it was a real intimate thing that we were able to do. But that only happened because, I mean, we must have talked 3 weeks before and met a couple times. And so that's always, to me, the best outcome. When I could sit with an artist and really and dig in and like, yo, what are you thinking? Like, when you wrote this record, what were you thinking? You know, so.
And again, that plays into what we're talking about all day too, because sometimes you don't get a chance to get in the room with the artist, right? You don't get a time to, maybe sometimes you're not in the room with a Timberland, you're not able to understand that energy or what that person's going through or what they want to speak about. You're just relying on what you kind of see, what you feel, and now you're presenting something to somebody who maybe you don't even know. Right. You know what I'm saying? So how important, you know, have relationships been along your journey? Not only just with the artist, but just, you know, with people around you that have connected you to certain situations. How important have relationships been for you?
I think it's very important, especially when you're dealing with label executives, because a lot of times these label execs will be one place and then they'll leave and go to another label. And if you've have a good relationship with them, done good work for them, they'll take you. You know, once they're at the other label, they'll say, hey, we need to connect and have this artist and new artists. A lot of time, what I have found out in my journey is that new artists, I don't know how it is now, but when it's a big label and it's new artists, they really want to entrust someone that has already done it on the video side with that new artist first. You know, they're cool to try it and with somebody else, they're like, maybe the second video, but this first one we have to do this.
Set the tone,
to set the tone. And that just comes from relationships. And I've always felt like too, and this the thing about it is a lot of times, and I'm not sure how it is now, but when you get the music, you're writing a concept, and other directors are writing concepts as well, and that's just all part of it. But I've gotten to the space now. It's like, well, I'm not, you know what I do. Like, what are we writing against? If you want the other person to do it, that's cool. But and I think because it's a waste of time. Or get me on the phone with the artist, or let me speak to them, or Zoom with them, and let me see what they say, and then I'll come back with a concept that everybody would like.
Yeah, it seems like just from what I've known you now for about maybe 4 years, right? Around the pandemic, before that we kind of met, and you came to the studio with your son, and we started building a relationship. And I always feel like when we do events like this, we need to see things from every perspective, right? Like there's a writer, there's a producer, there's a manager, there's an engineer. There's also an amazing video person that at some point needs to be involved in the process. So when you think about your career thus far, what are some of the things that you feel like you haven't done yet that you really want to get accomplished?
That's a good question. Shoot a Beyonce video.
Oh, Jay.
Like,
upper echelon.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that's the. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. I mean, it's not. I can't look back and say, man, I wish I could have, wish I would have, because I'm just blessed to be able to have done that. Like, I look back, it's like, 2000 was the first video. And this is 2023.
Years,
Like, we just dropped a video today with Byron Messia and Friday. Just dropped today that I did last year. Like, these are two brand new artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so to be able to get into that mix at this time, it was Burna Boy, we just dropped earlier this summer, right? Big 7, it's like, that was another relationship kind of thing where the record label said that Burna wanted a video that felt like New York in the 90s, early 2000s. And it's like, we only wanted to call you. So then I got on the phone with him and we talked it through, and came up with a concept, and we did it. And so, it's hard to say what you didn't do when you've been blessed with so much.
Yeah,
you know
for real.
So, yeah.
How many videos have you shot, do you think?
Man,
I
don't know. It's 300 or more.
Okay.
Something like that.
300 or more in 23 years. That's crazy.
Probably something like that, yeah.
300.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When did you realize you really wanted to do this, though? Because obviously everybody makes a decision at some point to just step out and jump out the window. When did you realize you were going to jump out the window and just do this, man?
It was that moment. It was the moment in Miami with when on Big Pimpin', when we were like, I was a little hesitant. The fear of, okay, are people going to hire me?
Right.
You can't take backward steps, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so stepping out means really stepping out with no B plan. The funny thing is like with working with Diddy, he was like, there's no B plan. He's like, it's only an A plan, and you got to make that A plan work. Okay. I said, well, how are we going to make A work? Because there's no B, And so that kind of I thought about that. It's like, well, if I step out, then I'm on my own,
right?
And I got to figure it out. And it worked out, but everybody needs that little push,
right?
Or and it's weird too, because it's like, Hype is not a complimentary person in that or like that. So him saying that was him saying, I think you're ready,
right,
to go do this,
right?
He's not gonna say, come on, man, come sit in my office with you,
right.
But that's not his style.
Right. Just kind of need that real talk push.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I can imagine. When you're going through, when you work for somebody else, there's a comfortability involved. You know what I'm saying? Like whether you're getting paid or just being in the room and you're excited about being in the room. But there comes a time in everybody's career where you got to take a step and just go, like, am I doing what I really want to do? Do I love what I do? I've been self-employed for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
I left my job. My dad passed away. I was like, I don't love what I do. I like it, but I don't love it. So I decided to jump out the window. And one of the things that I learned early on is that the only person holding you back from your goals is you.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how many years you have in the game, no matter how many relationships you have, if you don't get out of your own way, it'll never happen for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, understanding that, and even going into this new era of, you know, digital, when you kind of finally saw that happening in 2010, like, what was your initial thought process? Were you like, is this over for me, or how am I gonna adapt? Like, what was your mindset?
Well, the mindset was that we were so stuck on how our visuals looked.
Right.
And so the colors and all this stuff, and you know, at the time, video just wasn't giving you that. It just did. The quality and technology hadn't caught up to where it is now, for sure. You just, there's no way you turn back.
Right.
But that was the fear.
Okay.
And also, you know, the cinematographers that you worked with, there was only a handful that really wanted to do it. Right. The rest of them were like, you know, you'd call and say, hey, I got this video. The budgets. And then the other thing was, the record labels thought because there was no more film involved that they could cut all the budgets in half. And like, it doesn't work like that. You still have to hire people to do all these things,
stylists and all those people.
So there was like 2 years, man, where when I'm telling you, they were calling huge acts and saying, yeah, well, you know, it's about $10,000 for the budget, and you're like, what? This person's just like quadruple platinum. They just did. They're like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm like, oh man. So it was a This was like 2010, 11, around that time. It was really tight.
Yeah. It was a drought.
Yeah, it was.
A drought in New York.
Yeah.
Talk about you were nominated for an award not too long ago. Let everybody know what the award was and how that all happened.
Which one? The
BET, was it the BET one?
Yeah. So that's funny.
Right.
No. Because
it was a couple though, like 2 or 3 at the time, right?
I'm saying that because well, 2 things. I've been nominated for that award for it's the BET Video Director of the Year award. Right. And I've won it twice over a few years, and I've been nominated every year since they started the award. Okay. And the only person that's won it more than me is Beyonce.
Right, sure.
So it's
that's why you want to see the Beyonce record, so you can, you know, chart can go up a little bit.
So I can read the tip, but then she gonna
right. She gonna win anyway, right?
Right. But this last year, I wanted to win because we would have been tied, and then I could say, hey, you know, I got the same amount of awards as Beyonce.
So we got to work together now, yeah.
Right. But then I won the first VMA of my career. That's what I was talking about. Last year with Nicki Minaj, Do We Have a Problem? Nicki Minaj and Lil Baby, which is the best hip hop video.
That was a fire video.
So you know, it's like, had you asked me that question, this question like 2 years ago, I'd be like, man, I really want to win a VMA like that. Yeah. But then you get that, you know what I mean? So
it happens organically.
It happens organically, and you can't put a clock on it either, because you know, I know so many directors that I started with. Some cats won a VMA their first year or second year, you know. So everybody's timeline is different, and you can't really measure your timeline against someone else's. You just kind of do what you do.
Speaking about that, like, what kind of competition level or competition atmosphere is there between a lot of the guys that have really been, you know, kind of running on the same trajectory as you, or you with them? Like, is there a friendly competition? Y'all really hate each other? Like, what's the story?
So it's definitely friendly competition. So me and X are like brothers. Right. Like, we had shared office space together. So like, there's no competition there. But there definitely was competition. So this is like really funny. So me and Chris Robinson, who I love, that's my big bro. Me and this dude had mad competition on the low all the time. And it started with Nas, so when Nas was going through the thing with Jay-Z, we did he had the song "Got Yourself a Gun."
Yeah.
So he called me and he's like, "Yo, want to do a video for it." No one had heard the song. I went up to Sony, to Columbia, to hear the song. I sat there for like 6 hours in a room with a computer, like
treatment,
the treatment. And so he wasn't there, but the commissioner was there. So I didn't have an idea. So I went home and I said, man, I gotta come up with something, because mind you, we 5 years fresh from Biggie and Pac getting killed.
Right.
So I was like, man, I gotta think of something. So in thinking like Nas, who's read and learned and jazz and all this stuff, I had this idea of recreating the assassinations of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And Nas was going to play both roles. So the concept was written, got it to Nas, he loved it. He was already thinking about, you know,
How he's gonna look and
do the whole thing. So there used to be a club on Spring Street and 6th Avenue called not Life. It was another club. It was
Limelight?
Not Limelight. No.
Home base? Tunnel?
No, that's all 27. It was a small club we used to go to.
Okay.
And sitting there, Flex used to play there. This is the DJ from Red Hook. From Brooklyn. He used to spin there. Anyway.
Was it Tony Touch? Token Tuesdays in the spot?
He used to be there as well.
Okay.
So anyway, they're playing the music and we're sitting there, me and Hakeem from Channel Live, we're sitting and talking about this record, like, yo, this is crazy. Because just to set the stage, like, this was volatile in New York. I don't know how many, everybody in here from New York? So who remembers when Nas and Jay were really going at it?
When he dropped Ether, when he dropped...
This was before Ether.
Oh yeah, New York Weekend?
No, it's called, it's going to come to me.
Okay.
So, the disc records, now disc records come, like, you do a disc record and before this one is on the line, the next person already got one. Jay-Z had disc Nas at the Summer Jam.
Yeah.
This is like 5 months later when Got Yourself a Gun came out. So this was like, you know, took a minute.
Yeah.
But everybody was waiting for his response. So he wanted to drop the video and the song all at the same time. It was interesting because it's like, man, you're gonna now whatever you do, you're gonna be responsible for whatever happens. So we sitting there, and with that in mind, thinking, and as much as I loved the King and Malcolm X idea, I felt like the kids wasn't gonna get it. The hood wasn't gonna get it. I was like, damn, they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna get it. So Hawk says, yo, you gotta make Nas Biggie on the night he got killed and Pop on the night. I said, damn, that's it. So I left. We walked. I just remember walking out of the club. I called Horse. Horse was Nas' bodyguard. I called him. I said, yo, I gotta speak to Son right now. So he said, hold on. So he gets him on the phone. I said, yo, forget that other idea. Just don't even. I said, you gotta be big and Pac on the night that they got killed. And it was silence on the phone. He didn't say anything. And I'm like, damn, maybe maybe I
overspeak?
Maybe I jumped out the window too much. He said, yo, tomorrow morning I need to see you at Sony. This is it. This is it. Yo, I need to see you at 10 o'clock. I'm gonna be there in the office. We can get this. And that's how that happened. And we went to LA and we shot the video, and it was, you know, we actually put a gravestone of Pac and a gravestone of Big next to each other, and he's pouring the liquor out for them and the whole thing, and together. Jay-Z's stylist and Nas' stylist was the same person.
Okay.
Right? So
awkward.
This is so the video was edited, and there were 5 copies of the video made.
Okay.
One was for Stout. No, I'm sorry. 3 copies. One was for Stout. Steve Stout, the manager. One was for Sony, and there was another one. I don't remember what the other one was. No, Stout would have gave it to Nas. Can't remember what the other one was. 2 days after we delivered the first rough cut, there was like 6. Now, mind you guys, VHS copies of the music video rough edit
tapes
was floating around.
Right.
Puff seen it. Flex saw it. Somebody else saw it. I invited C's and Nino to my crib. I lived on the next block from Big.
Right.
So they came to the house. So I showed them the video, and they were crying. They were so touched by it.
Yeah.
So I got Junior Mafia thumbs up on it. They was like, yo,
we good.
As is, this is it. Puff wasn't so happy. He was not happy. So first of all, I didn't know how he saw the video.
Okay.
Nobody knew. I was at a club. I used to club a lot, y'all. Not no more. This was back in the day. Club on 17th Street and 10th Avenue. I'm coming down the steps, and Puffy's bodyguard, Uncle Paulie, stops me. Yo, Puff need to holler at you.
Oh boy.
I'm like, all right, well, I didn't know I had no idea. He saw the video. We all saw the video. Like, what?
You walk into a room, there's like 20 people in that room.
Shit, I ain't see you over there. What up, guy? You good? I ain't see you there. Yo, so I'm like, all right. So he comes in. He's like, Playboy, we need to talk over here. I'm like, what? He said, yo, everybody, that video was, again, this is only 4 or 5 years after they died. So everything was still
still fresh.
Everything was still fresh. And he said, yo, I ain't gonna lie, the video was great, but man, we can't show. Like he was upset that in the original cut of the shooting, you saw Nas get hit and slump to the side. Like we shot it like a movie, you know, And so he didn't want that image out there. He said Miss Wild is like, it was just so. I understand it. It was too. It was too. So I said, look, you got to tell Nas, like, this is his video at the end of the day. You got to tell him. Now, mind you, they had a big problem over the Nas video, Hate Me Now.
Hate Me Now, okay, yeah.
2, 3, 4 years prior to this. Right. So it was a whole thing. I said, look, I'm not getting in that. Y'all gonna have to kind of conversation. So
I just held the camera.
Yes, I came with the idea. So Jay-Z got the video, and I get a call in my office. Lil X was there, so we get a call from the stylist, and she goes, yo, they got the video up here at Rock Nation. I'm like,
Right. I said 3 copies.
we had 3 copies. How they get the video?
And those DVD, those VHS recorders.
That rough cut was bootleg.
They had the 10 joints on the road.
I said, so what? You know, so what's the
What's the outcome? Yeah.
what's the situation? She said they asked me. They watched it and then asked her to leave the room, so she left out. So she said, I'll call you back. I was like, all right. So she calls back later though, and she goes, yeah, he don't know. It's like, I think this is, she said, I think it's perfect. She says, I think that this might be what's needed for everybody to just take a chill. Like, they gotta see this to take a chill.
Yeah.
And so that we quickly finished it and put it out. And you know, I really think that had we not like really been so, hey God, that we just came from this, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, we just lost the 2 greatest. Like, we just lost them. Like, y'all the next 2 greatest. Like, let's not do this. You know, think about this. It's not that deep.
Right.
You know, it's not that.
Everybody
serious.
knows. Everybody saw everything. Everybody
Yeah.
understands.
You guys know each other. It's not like, you know. So back to the original thing. So Chris, we do that, and then Chris does one mic. That's what, right? So, right. So Chris does one mic, and I remember seeing one mic, and I'm like, damn, because it's like that's a song like it's, you know, it's deep and it's, you know, but there was still tension with Jay, and so Nas had another record. So later on, a couple months later, Nas said, look, I got a new album coming. This is the first single. I need you to come here. So I go over to the studio. I thought the tensions had died, but it didn't. And he put it on and then played it. The gunshot made you look, and it was like, I said, oh shit. So
That shit was so
he
crazy.
said, yo, this right here, we finishing him with this. So I'm like, yo, you dragged me back, you know, to that.
Why I gotta be in the middle of this controversy?
I'm the consigliere of the whole thing, right? So we're listening to it, and it's a room full of Queensbridge dudes there. Irv Gotti's there. So I leave out, and Irv's like, yo, whatever you do, you got to do what you did on that last one, because they ready for blood. I'm like, no, we're going to figure something out. So Nas felt like this was he wanted something to show like a victory lap. So that's what we did. We shot the video all over New York, and, you know, we had to call like Fat Joe to not had to call him, but it was like we wanted everybody to know that he was good wherever he was, wherever he went. And so we did that. And then Chris did I know I can with the kids, and I was
Oh,
like,
man.
yo, man, like
Back and forth.
yeah. So it's like, and I think he won. I think Chris won for one mic. He definitely won a BET, but I want to say he won a VMA or was nominated for a VMA,
Okay.
but he won an award from the AICP, which is the commercials and stuff like that, and everything. And so yeah, but me and Chris, that's my dude. Like even to this day, like we talk to each other. He's from Baltimore, I'm from Philly, so it's like it's a whole thing. You know?
That DMV, Philly, shit.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah.
So I want to ask you one more question, and I want to switch up the subject. You know, today these artists are trying to get out there, trying to be heard, trying to create this content. Everybody's always like content. What are some of the mistakes that you've seen, you know, artists make over the last maybe like 3 to 5 years when it comes to like creating content or not creating content?
So you mean artists? You talking just about recording artists?
Yeah, anybody. It could be new, could be, you know, guys that have been out there, like they're trying to create this presence or brand of themselves. What are they not doing right?
Not being original. I mean, I think that the originality is one thing. The other thing is that we've allowed, and I'm putting myself in this, we've allowed the creative meter to just go in a place that
slump.
And it's embarrassing in some you know, at some points. And so getting on is so much easier now because of the digital age, right? Like I just told you guys, like we literally had to take film that wasn't being used, that was cut and put into short, to use that to shoot the things that we wanted to shoot, and we would have like boxes and cans and stuff just to shoot like a little music video for somebody. You know, now you don't need that. You know, we could go right now and go buy a camera. You could use the phone right here. So what that does is it gives everyone access, which is cool, but once everyone gets access, then what are you doing with it? There's also not say no, but there's not a lot of gatekeepers.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that will say, let's not put this out.
Right.
Where are those folks? You know, I don't know where they are.
They stop you from getting in, but they don't stop you from jumping out the window the wrong way.
But the other thing is, I mean, this is a business, right? But everybody thinks every single thing you do is going to generate money. So that's why there is so much content. And the reality is that is the truth. Like the more you have, you know, the catalog becomes this, and you see all this stuff. But somebody has to speak to the younger generation and say, hey guys, we got to get back to the quality. Especially because so many young men getting killed for it. You know, I was looking at this thing with Kenny Parker has this Kenny Parker's KRS-One's brother. He has something on YouTube where he tells all these old stories, you know, about KRS-One and all this stuff. And there's one about Scott LaRock and how Scott LaRock was killed. I remember the moment that I heard Scott LaRock died. It was a hot summer night. I was on my bicycle. I just came home from work, and my cousin came out of the house and said, Scott LaRock just died. I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Scott
good point.
LaRock. He got shot and killed. I'm like, that didn't even register to me. That somebody that was that
relevant at the time.
It did not register to me that he was even human. Like, you know what I mean?
You look at these guys and these women and it's like,
But now, and like, you know, J. Cole said it best, like, you don't even, some of these kids, you never get a chance to hit them, and then they gone. And the worst thing I hate is when I see the news and it's like, it says, you know, young rapper from Jacksonville or, you know, Louisiana, wherever. And it's like, that's just like clickbait. Like, nah, this young man just lost his life. And then somebody
mentioned a rapper
and then the fam, like, there's so much more to it. But I do think that is part of the decline of rap music right now. It is also the reason why Afro beats is growing because when we hear that, we feel
Very
better.
rhythmic, yeah.
We feel better. You know what I mean? Like, it's back to what made us.
Yeah.
It's the new soul music for us, because at the end of the day, the beginning of our understanding, I'm talking about the African diaspora of understanding, is the drum. That is what. That is how we spoke to each other. That was our instrument. And so when we hear that, it's a call to our essence, to what we are, to hear that drum. So now that's why Afro beats is moving the way it is, because on this side we hear so much violence and death and all this stuff, and we dance to it for a second, and then we like, oh my God, and I just hear this kid on the radio, he's shot and dead already. Like, that don't make sense. But then you hear the Afro, and it just makes you feel better. You know, so we're in the this is a transitional stage of music right now. It's like artists have to decide, are they going to stay the course for what they're doing, or are they going to switch? And then that goes back to the question you asked, and it's about content. Like, there's artists, I'm sure, that have been doing a certain kind of music that didn't want to change just because the music changed. You know, and then there's that being honest to yourself. No, you got to stay what you're doing. Speak your own truth.
No, I think you brought up a lot of great points. I think the first thing about gatekeepers is I think we need to realize it's like when I drive through a neighborhood, like I live in the Bronx, I live in Pelham Bay, and like, you know, you drive through a neighborhood and all of a sudden there's garbage everywhere, right? Like, why aren't we our own gatekeepers? Why are we not taking care of our own shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, we just expect somebody else to do it.
Somebody else to pick it up.
That part, and then also just understanding that, you know, if we have, and I use this analogy all the time. How many of y'all heard me talk about the soda aisle? All right. So I'll just real quick, soda aisle, Pepsi, Coke, whole aisle of different sodas, right? Bodega soda, water soda, whatever, hard seltzer. They're all on the shelf, right? But why are Pepsi and Coke on the end caps? They spend the money. They spent the 10,000 hours getting to that point. They've sponsored Beyonce's concerts and FIFA and all of it. So those are like the Timberlands, the Pharrells, the Scott Storches, the guys that are always working. We had this whole soda aisle. Somehow they made it to an aisle, right? So what's going to make me want to grab something off of that aisle versus what I'm familiar with or what I'm comfortable listening to, or the original? You know, it's kind of like what we grew up on. We listen to a lot of what we grew up on because it makes us feel good about what we did at that time. It's a soundtrack to our life, whatever the case may be. So the only way I'm going to pick up something off of that soda aisle is if, like, Benny's like, yo, Hatch, have you tried this joint? I'll be like, all right, it's cool. Benny's my guy. He's not going to tell me to drink some shit, right? I might just be walking down the aisle and going, yo, this packaging is crazy. I'm going to try this shit out. Just test it out. And then there's going to be one day where you just walk down the aisle and you're in a rush and you're like, all right, there's no more Coke and Pepsi. I got to grab whatever. Apply that to the music industry, right? If Benny tells me to try this Coke, that's a cosign, right? If I'm finding something, you know, because of the packaging or whatever the case may be, that means that something stands out. Something makes me want to just pay attention to it, right? And then there's also just being at the right time at the right place.
That's it.
If I'm doing my job, I'm looking for you right now, right? That's why we do these events. I'm looking for you right now. So you guys are all in the soda aisle, and what's going to get you on the end caps? What's going to get you to be closer to the end cap? What's going to maybe be the first thing you see when you walk in the door? They got to pay attention to you. And the first problem is what you had said. People are afraid of being themselves. They think that what they hear on the radio, what they think is streaming and popular, that shit was made 2 or 3 years ago, sometimes longer. I want to know what's going on in 2024, 25, 26. Find these new artists. Don't try to go to find a Rihanna. Rihanna's already got a legacy. You do a record with her, that's cool, but she made you didn't make her.
Right.
Feel what I'm saying? Do a record with Candy, who's about to blow up. You know what I'm saying? Do a record with Man Gator Money, who's about to blow up. Like, do records with these people that have a trajectory, a genuine, like, consistent trajectory of going somewhere where you could find a way to just latch on. Because if they're themselves, you know what I'm saying, you yourself, that's going to be a natural combination right there.
Yep.
But if you're somebody else and that person's themselves, he's going to be able to know you're not who you are. Because it's just, I'm being myself. So when it comes to content, a lot of times what I tell people is like, let's just be you first, right? Just be you. People latch on to people because they fuck with them, not because of the music. Music is the plus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I find TP and she's doing cool content, I'm like, oh, this shit's fun. She's she's singing while she's cooking and she's writing records, whatever. But then I listen to the music and I'm like, yo, this girl's fire. What's going on with her? Let me reach out. I just did it recently with this rapper. I don't know, it's something Bang, whatever. He's like straight up he's like Sean P. You know what I'm saying? From Duck Down, yeah. And I'm like, man, that shit's, like Benny the Butcher, Griselda, these guys are starting to make moves. Like, might be cool just to have a conversation with this kid. Hit this kid up. You're dope. I fuck with you. I can put you in a room with Buck Wild, all these major producers, Alchemist, whatever. Let's work. He hit me back. I was like, let's meet up or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he couldn't make it that day. And I said, okay, cool. Hit me next week. Let's link up. You know what I'm saying? He never responded. I hit him up one more time. I said, yo, I'm trying to help you out. Just want to get in a room with you. I'm not looking for anything. I don't want to manage you. I'm not trying to put more on my plate. I just want to hear what you got to offer. Never heard from him. So sometimes we fuck up our own blessings. You know what I'm saying?
Block your blessings.
We block our own blessings because we don't understand the value of somebody believing enough in us to reach out to. Because there's so much shit going on. Dudes getting, I'm sure you've all gotten an email recently from somebody at Atlantic Records.
Oh my God.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it's so-and-so from Atlantic Records. I heard your music online and I want to offer you a distribution deal.
Let me ask you a question about that. Because I have artists that I manage, right? And I got 4 or 5 different texts.
Right. And you wonder, how to get my phone number?
And I'm like, one of them, this was the craziest thing. It was a FaceTime with Fat Joe. Oh. So, my man's like, I just got off the FaceTime with Fat Joe. I'm like, for real?
AI Fat Joe?
So, I'm like, what Fat Joe? He said he was in the studio, he got me back, and he took a screenshot with Fat Joe and him.
Yeah.
So, what I did, I text Joe, I said, yo, did you just have a FaceTime with this kid in Philly? And said I sent him the thing, he said, he texts back, that is not me.
Wow.
So I said that to him. I said, yo, I don't know what's going on in the world like that where cats are. Like, what are you getting out of it? Because eventually it's like, okay, if you pay me $30, we can go. I said, Joe's not asking you for $30.
Right. Joe don't need $30.
He don't need $30. Atlantic Records doesn't need you to pay to do a showcase.
Right. Or pay you to cover lawyer fees for the contract you're gonna do. We need this money in advance so we can take care of the lawyer when they get. Bro, you're a multi-billion-dollar company. But I'll tell you a quick story. I was judging an event and I really like this one kid, so we exchange information. He hits me up. I was managing Denon Porter at the time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was out in Detroit. Royce the 5'9" studio chilling. My man hits me. He's like, yo, are you in Detroit? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Detroit. Why? He's like, yo, I'm out here too. I was like, oh, that's dope. That's what's up. He's like, can you verify something for me? Because everybody knows I'm like Jay Google. You tell me some shit, I'm going to find out what's going on. So he's like, yo, Coach K from Quality Control Music hit me up. He called from Universal, which they don't even have a distribution deal with Universal. He's like, I called it back and it was the Universal Records number. Right? I'm like, okay. What he said? He sent me a ticket to fly to Detroit. I have to pay them $4,000 to do whatever. They've paid for my flight to LA because I'm supposed to be in the studio with Snoop Dogg. He's like, and I'm at the restaurant waiting for Coach K now.
No, he went?
He went.
So it was a real ticket?
It was a real ticket. Let me explain it to you. So he gets in a car. He's on his way to the restaurant that him and Coach K are going to meet at. Now, Coach K lives in Atlanta, right? So they're in Detroit, which is already fucked up. Why is Coach K going to be in Atlanta? Let's say there's a show out there, whatever. He tells the kid, meet me at the restaurant. My limousine driver is going to take you there. I'll meet you there. Cool. 10 minutes into the ride, they're at the airport. They're leaving the airport. The phone rings. The limo driver picks it up. He's like, what up, Coach? What's going on? He's like, yo, I'm going to be like a half hour late. Oh, so he's like, the other guy can't hear what he's saying. So he's like, oh, so you're going to be a half hour late to the restaurant, right? Oh, okay, so you want me to collect the money and have him sign the paperwork? All right, cool. I got you. Now, mindset is this kid got flown out there. He's in a limousine. He called back Universal Records and it was a real because you could forward numbers nowadays. So he calls them back.
Or just have somebody answer it and
Right.
say Universal.
Right. So then he gets in the limo and he gives this guy $4,000. He signs off on his distribution deal, gets dropped off at the restaurant. Guess who never shows up, right? So then he's texting me. He's at the restaurant for like an hour. He's like, Hatch, what should I do? He's like, they flew me out here. I got a real ticket to go to LA. I'm in a limousine. What's good? I'm like, they just made $3,000 off you because they bought a flight for like $200. They got a limo driver to drive you. They got you another flight that's still active. It's still active. Flight is active. But instead of $4,000, they make $3,000 off you. You know what I'm saying?
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
recently, another producer got scammed out of an interview on Source Magazine. So let me give you a quick, just pay attention to the details. This is what I told you all earlier this morning. Read. It's fundamental. When I send you something, send it to me this way. Yada yada yada. These what are they called? Journalists will send you an email. Say, hey, this is so and so from this website. We caught your music on SoundCloud. We think you're dope. We want to interview you for the Source. Now, common sense would tell you, why the fuck would anybody at my level, right now, what I got going on, no placements and no big records, why would they want to interview me? You know, maybe it's like an indie section, whatever the case it is. Why would they want to interview me? Randomly. Then they'll put their at, like IG at, right? So the hack is, go to the website and find out who the real staff writers are. And because they put a lot of their IGs on there.
Right.
So the person that sent it, IG didn't match the IG that was on the website, because the website's legit.
Yeah.
Right? Homie got about $3,000. Because what they do is like, send me like $150. We'll do this. Oh, you know what? We have this other opening for $500. Do this. I don't know if it was $3,000. It might have been like $1,500, whatever. But like they kept thinking like, okay, well this person's from the Source. I got their IG.
That's crazy.
Like everybody's out here trying to take advantage of you, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because we all want it so bad. We all want it so bad that we want to believe enough to think that these people want to come after us and help us out. Feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, even like myself, like, you know, obviously I got to charge for the event. There's a fucking $15K price tag on this event. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, if I was a fraud, you would have known 20 years ago. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when people reach out to you randomly, generally, unless you've met them at an event or you've had some sort of real conversation with them at some point, 9.999 times out of 10, that shit is a fucking fraud. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, do your research.
And if you ever have any questions, forward me an email, forward me a contract. I'd be happy to help you out. Because what I did when the kid said Coach K called him, I called Coach K's assistant. And I was like, bro, what's going on? Then I called my man at Universal, my man Sterling. I was like, do you know this person? They're like, nah. And then the kicker was the logo on this kid's IG versus the quality control logo was janky as fuck. It was like brown and red, and the shit was turned like upside down. I'm like, bro, why? How? Anyway, that was my little rant for the moment. The last thing I want to talk to you about, I want to shift the convo a little bit. You have a son, Mini Boom, amazing producer. He's worked with people like Fabio Foreign. He's worked with a lot of the newer artists you hear in New York. He's worked with Busta Rhymes. B-Love as well. So, you know, in this day and age, a lot of times the parents don't understand the language of what goes on in music. I'm sure we all had that one mom, dad, aunt, uncle. Hey, well, how's that little music thing you got going on? You making any money yet? Yeah. My uncle just asked me the other day. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this shit for 25 years. Yeah, I'm good. How do you, as a creative yourself, you know, how do you understand how to, like, you know, keep him motivated, you know, be supportive of his dream? Because, you know, you've gone through a lot. You've seen a lot of bullshit happen. Like, how do you keep him straight when it comes to this? Because I know you and your wife have a really strong bond with him. He's a great kid. He's worked with James World in the past. How do you manage that support versus awareness thing?
It's interesting because I try to be, you know, the templates are Floyd Sr., Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Right.
You know, those dads that are there and bringing the kid through.
Yeah.
Right. And so I try not to impose creatively on him because I don't want to impose a creative.
Yeah.
But I will give suggestions.
Of course.
The biggest thing I do, the only one thing I do on the creative side is I always send him like samples or things like that, and it's usually old stuff, right? I just want to open his mind up to what's, you know, the origins of a lot of this stuff. But as far as like artists and stuff, like I just ask him, you know, like let's say we get a call for something and like, you know who this artist? Oh yeah, I know who it is. Oh well, I was talking to the manager. They want a beat pack. Okay, cool. And throws a beat pack in. Yeah. So it's just, I'm trying to taper his expectations. Taper was it right?
Taper
his expectations as well, because I know so many people, right? But I want to be careful that when we enter the space or a call is made, that he's ready.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so that's important.
Preparation.
Like we got a call from an A&R that had us come to the studio for a big artist, like multi-platinum selling artist, rap artist. So that I actually did a video for back in the day. So he called. So we go to the session, and there were other producers. There were other producers in there. So meanwhile, my son is 16. So they the same age. James Rose is the same age.
Oh no. He's 17 now.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got one up on him.
He an OG in the game now.
Oh man. So we go in and he's scoping out the room, and it's probably like 4 or 5. I mean, everybody's trying to get a record, and then like they're playing a record that he did the day before with Meek Mill and Fabio. So everybody's listening to that, and the producer of that record was in the room and all this stuff. So I don't know if it was intimidation or whatever it was, but he left the room, left the studio room and went into the lounge area. So I didn't see him leave, and so I'm sitting there, and then they go, "Yo, where's Minnie at?" I'm like, "Oh snap, where'd he go?" So I go out. I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Nah, you know, they doing. I'm waiting for." No. You got to be present and ready. He just looked for you.
Right.
So what's going to happen if they looking for you in that little bit of time?
Somebody else
about to play something.
Right.
And that's going to be the record that they pick.
Right.
So luckily, it came back. He started playing stuff. Listen. He's like, "Oh, I like that." Took. And we didn't hear anything.
Right.
And
the artist was there. The artist was there. Okay.
No, the artist was there. And we kicked it, talked, you know. And I have a great relationship with the artist as well. But that wasn't the reason why he was called. The reason he was called is because of all the stuff. Well, no, not only that. The like all the beat battles and all, like the A&R knew, oh yeah, there's this young kid.
Yeah.
He even he's been in all the beat battles, and Symphonist and James, like everybody. They've been, there's buzz.
Yeah.
And so let's see what he got. So he came up. So long story short, we didn't hear anything. He said, "Yo, man, they didn't record." I'm like, "Well, you don't know if they recorded it. We don't know." You gave him the 4 beats that you played 10 beats and he picked 4.
Right.
So you can't ask for more than that. A week later, we were in the studio, and for something else, same studio for something else, and the engineer was like, "Oh," he said, "Oh man, I gotta play something." So he put the beat on, and it was his beat. I was like, "Oh snap!" And then we heard the artist on it. And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Yo, he's supposed to get another artist is supposed to get on the record."
Feature, okay, yeah.
Before so he's trying to figure out, why didn't they tell you? I said, well, that's just the process.
That's
you
the
never
game,
know.
man.
They want to deliver.
That's the game, bro.
That's just the game.
They
want to deliver the record done and to you. So it's I'm glad that I'm able to give him the guidance. You always want to make it a little easier for your kids than you had it. So I don't want to make it too easy, but I want to make it, manageable in that sense.
No, I like the fact too, you're giving him some space and being his own person, because you could easily make some calls and put him in the room. So,
but he got to be ready.
Right. And it's interesting too, because I've been in a lot of sessions with Mitty. Mm-hmm. I was in the session when he was with Foreign, and this kid is 16 years old, and he's like so dialed in. Mm-hmm. Not like you probably seen him over there too. Not like intimidated, He's very like heads down, blinders on.
Yeah.
Let me just play my shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that something I try to tell people all the time. Like sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's about just being you, showing what you can do, not worrying about what the industry may dictate for you, or even, you know, may push you to kind of change your approach to making music. Because when you start to lose yourself, you know, in that bubble of the industry, because it's very easy to send packs out all the time and never hear back from somebody.
Never.
You know, so you know, your follow-up game's got to be great. Your relationship game got to be that much stronger. You know what I'm saying? The people that surround you got to want you to win as well. Like you see all these rappers getting on stage and holding up T-shirts and free this guy, whatever the case may be, but none of them are getting emails. None of them are taking pictures or getting content. Yeah. Nobody's filming anything. Yeah. Nobody's tagging anybody. There's no like reason, and then everybody expects you to compensate them at some point during the day. But sometimes when you work very closely with somebody and you just get in and you dialed in, and there's not a whole lot of ruckus going around you, and you dial in and be consistent about that, that's when you really win. Because all that other stuff is just fucking white noise. It's
impatience.
It's impatience. You get in your own head about shit. You know, had a conversation the other day about this kid who's like, yo, I want to quit doing what I do. And this kid's fucking amazing. I'm like, bro, why you want to quit? He's like, oh man, I was on a platinum record. I didn't get the proper credit, so nobody knows who I am. It doesn't mean you didn't do the record. Yeah. I was like, let people know you fucking did that record. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was on the Chris Brown album. And that shit went 7 times platinum. I was like, you could be doing consultations. You could be doing like reviews of other producers' music. I'm like, you reached a certain stature where people can look at you and see some value, right? So now what are you gonna do with that? Right? You just gonna be in your room making music and crying because nobody's listening or reaching out to you? You gotta fucking step it up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get out there. You gotta talk to people. You gotta let them know who you are. You know, it's cool to take a quick little break. When you step away for too long from the poker table, they steal your chips. Yeah. And you worked hard for them chips. Those chips have value. You know what I'm saying? So, do me a favor, get off my brother, Benny the Boom, for being in the building. I got allergies, by the way. I'm not crying. Part of why we're here right now, we gave this award out to Buddha and Grands, but we got to give my guy Benny his flowers while he's here. Oh wow, that's dope. So we're giving you the Content God Flowers Award, my brother.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
Let's get a couple quick flicks right here.
Wow.